The word that comes to mind is craft, and the second word that comes to mind is care. They do everything, they're about craftsmanship, they do everything they do with a lot of care. Of all the companies we've worked with, I think Matt has, the most unblemished, the highest reputation of any company we've ever worked with, and they deserve it.
They've learned long ago that it's in the details.
We're pretty creative in terms of how we think about design and stuff like that, but they match our creativity and how a building gets put together and built, and that's really refreshing. Where there's not a lot of teams out there that still really are creative like that. So it's really fun to work with them.
Well, they've been magic. I mean, these are the best of the best. And it's what they do. It's their specialty, is take a complex project, take something that really is an art piece and help create it.
We learned on that first project, and it's consistent all the way through, Matt Construction are builders. They're not managers of spreadsheets. They build buildings, and they're completely committed to quality and the owner's other objectives as well. If the owner and the design team have an objective, they find a way to make it happen. They get in early, and on this project, the Peterson Museum, they had a couple of sketches and a couple of crazy architects, myself included, sitting down trying to figure out what's the real budget, the hard cost for this. And we worked through a lot of iterations with their estimating team and with their field. And we're going to be on budget. And because I think that early effort that we took to look at these conceptual designs and think through the process, what would it really take? And they took it seriously. A lot of their competitors look at pre-construction as marketing. We'll tell the client what he wants to hear. The Matts have never done that. They've always told the truth. And they've lost some jobs because of it. At the end of the day, though, you go back, you look at what the estimate that they prepared said at the start of the project, and it looks like what you wound up with at the end.
My experience with Matt is that they will do whatever is necessary to make the project work out, to make it top quality, and to treat the owner fairly. People that, again, you can trust on a handshake, no matter whether you have a 500-page contract or not. One of the biggest values you get from Matt is before they put a shovel in the ground. I wouldn't do a job that I had any authority over without having Matt involved in the design process, not as architects or engineers, of course, that's not what they do. But as the guys who are going to have to build it, they sit there and watch what the architects and engineers are doing. They review it as it progresses, and they give their comments and thoughts, not just about what it'll cost, but is this something that can be built the way you guys think it can be built? And is there a better way to do it? Is there a cheaper way to do it?
One of the benefits you get working with Matt is, particularly in pre-construction, they understand how a building goes together. It's not just taking a set of plans, going out in the field and starting to build. It's a matter of going through the drawings, understanding, what is, constructability reviews and how can they build it more efficiently, and how from a material procurement perspective can we improve the schedule. And I mean, coming up with those kinds of ideas very early in design is a huge benefit to a client and a construction manager and an architect. And Matt is good at that.
They're good at working with high-end architects who are doing buildings that are completely unique, that haven't been done before, and they do a good job of gaining an understanding of what that is important to that architect and then applying it to the construction. About a year ago, we were in pre-construction meetings for this high-end, high-design project that probably won't start for another year or so. But it's a European architect, it's very unique design, and Matt was an important team member at the table just to figure out how do we budget this thing, how are we going to be able to build it on this street corner. And I think they understood where the architect was coming from, and that this wasn't just a typical building that you'd throw some normal dollars at and that's the right price. They got into the details, worked with the architect, worked to understand it so we could come up with a realistic budget.
If you don't have that shared commitment with a builder, we could draw and draw and make hundreds and hundreds of details. But if they're not built with the with the passion and the sensitivity that they're drawn, if they're not built with that same passion and commitment, then you've lost an opportunity. So I find in our 20 years of experience with mat construction that's the commitment. That's it's a commitment to a budget. It's a commitment to a schedule, but it's a commitment to the art of architecture and to a crafted architecture. And builders like that are rare, but our experience has been terrific.
As an architect, of course, we want to be ensured that our partner on the project values the aesthetics as much as we do and values the quality of the project as much as we do. We've spent 2 years, 3 years, 4 years sometimes developing two-dimensional construction documents, even if they're three-dimensional. It doesn't become a reality unless those that interpret those documents are as committed to making it happen as we were in the development of the documents. And I would say on Wilshire Boulevard, even beyond any other project, the team, the construction team, was absolutely committed to that end.
Very often there is a kind of division between the design side and the contract side, and it's sometimes the client is right in between, and there are costs at stake. In this case, it was really a team effort. Everybody was part of a team. Matt wanted to get us to the right place, some way that we can build the project that would be within the time and within the budget. And everyone really did their best to make that happen.
Sometimes when you have layers of people, there's a tendency to have some egos clashing and just tensions. And what I witnessed, what I saw, is that they had a nice way of speaking up if they didn't agree with something, but in a respectful tone. And because of that, I think we were able to get the best thinking out on the table. So I think the culture that I saw was one of a very strong sense of teamwork.
What's unique about Matt is that they are up for the challenge. They probably, if it were a simpler project, it may have been slightly different in terms of. I can just tell you that because this was hard, they threw themselves into it, and really produced a building that we would not have had executed otherwise.
Bring on complexity. That's the kind of project we're looking for. And we get rewarded with very complex projects. But there is something of real value there. Not everybody is willing to take that on. And it differentiates you. And I think Matt is absolutely a company that has the same values. Bring on that complexity. We're smart enough, we're nimble enough, we're dedicated enough to figure out how to make something synthetic, something whole, something real, something buildable from that complexity. And that's a rare trait. I don't think it's a stretch at all to say that the thing that separates mat construction from a larger construction world is the culture of that company and how strong an ethic there seems to be from the very top through everybody working on the project, from pre-construction all the way through construction. Matt's ability and its culture of evolving and continuing to evolve is something that we've seen from mat construction over the years. And I think there's an expectation that's going to continue into the future. That's Matt's reputation. That's what people think of when they think of Matt Construction.
We're just customer driven, and it's all about the customer, and it usually goes, at least for me, in one ear and out the other, because you got to prove that, you got to live that, you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, so to speak, right? And it's easy to say those things until it's really needed, and then you see what the real deal is. And with Matt Construction, it's been the real deal.
I can't imagine having accomplished what we've accomplished. I can't imagine having developed the reputation that we've developed without having had Matt as a partner at extremely important moments during our career as an office, during my career as an architect. I'm not overplaying it. Those have been deeply important and consequential relationships that we've had over the years.
They know cultural institutions so well, and they have the patience and flexibility to go with museums especially that are trying to create something really new. There is nothing cookie cutter about this, nothing.
I think there are a group of people who care, who are decent, who are passionate about what they're doing. And what more do you need to have a good team?
You can just build a physical building, you can just do the surface things, but how you do them and how you treat the people you work with doing them counts a lot. And I think that's true of them.